r/ask Reddit. What is a legal scam that is still happening in 2022? Printing fee for digital tickets. Especially when you have to print them at home, with your own printer, paper, and ink. Don't tell that to HP and their printer subscription service with ink cartridges that get deactivated if you unsubscribe. Ticketmaster. WTF is a handling fee when I am the one handling my own phone? Edit. I was just making a flip smartass answer to the scam question. I had no idea it was this much of a problem. LOL. Ticketmaster actually had a class action lawsuit where they had to pay out $400 million USD to 50 million ticket buyers due to order processing fees and UPS delivery fees that were apparently bogus and weren't actually spent on anything specific. There's an interesting article Vox wrote about ticket fees and why they're so arbitrary. There was an FTC panel where multiple industry reps talked about it. Recommend reading it if you want the DL on the whole thing. Interesting thing is that supposedly all-in pricing, aka being upfront about fees and showing the full price of a ticket including fees, lost StubHub business after they experimented with doing it. So that might have something to do with why the fees continue to be hidden when you're buying concert tickets. I remember that. I think we got $1. Congress officials being allowed to trade stocks. This on so many levels. I worked for a large accounting firm in the US. I was IT for the S&P basically. My dad and Mill could not hold stocks in certain business while I worked there, but Congress can buy and sell on anything they are making laws about. Civil servants working in sensitive areas literally cannot hold stocks in those industries. How Congress can do so makes no sense at all. That all of government gets lumped into the corruption of the elected officials is infuriating. Insider trading within Congress. But if we do it, we end up in prison. Martha Stewart sold stocks and made $45K and it was called insider trading. Politicians sell stocks and make millions and that's called a free market. Shit's ducked. Ironically, Martha Stewart did not do time for insider trading. Those charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. What she did do time for was lying to federal agents. This is a perfect example why you shouldn't talk to police. Always ask for a lawyer. MLMs. I'm my own CEO. No, you aren't. You literally have a company telling you what you can and can't do. Imagine starting a company where you take responsibility for all of the expenses but get none of the revenue. Look, OP, if you want to get in on some legal scam, you have to do your own research. That's why I recommend you buy my book, What You Can Do to Legally Become Rich in 12 Easy Lessons. Just 24 easy payments of $199.99 and you will have the secrets to being a millionaire unveiled right before your eyes. My personal testimonial of this. I'm not a big reading person, but when I picked up What You Can Do to Legally Become Rich in 12 Easy Lessons, each lesson was only a paragraph long and used words even I could understand. I'd highly recommend this book. I'm so dedicated to this book that I even signed up to be their affiliate to save you 20% off your purchase. Use my promo code CoffeeInARocksGlassAffiliatePartner20 at checkout. Whoa, 20% is such a huge amount of savings. I know that you only have 7 affiliate spots and so thankful that I got your last spot. Because I'm such a team player though, I will be giving a 20% discount to the next 7 affiliates that signs up with me. Get this book now and you too can legally become rich like us. If debt collectors can trick a grieving person into uttering words that imply you take responsibility for your dead relative's debts, that can be treated as a binding oral contract and allow them to collect from you. Edit. I've gotten a lot of replies saying this is unenforceable in pretty much any jurisdiction. They just make you believe that's the case so they can increase the pressure for you to pay. Don't give them a dime and go talk to a lawyer. You should do that anyway before following legal advice from someone who may not even be in your country. In my country you legally can't inherit debt. Can't believe that's not the norm everywhere. All creditors must show whatever is left in the estate used to work in debt collection. You can't inherit debt in the US either, but that doesn't stop them from trying. If they get you to say that you're responsible for the debt, they'll say that constitutes a legal contract and you have to pay it now. Or if they get you to make a small payment toward it, same thing. Very shady. Edit. Yes. I know that's not how contracts work, but most people don't know that, especially if they are dealing with a recent death in the family. The creditors will try any shady thing they can to scare them and get money. Civil forfeiture. You're going to tell me that a cop thinks that my property might be used for illegal activity, and that cop is going to steal it from me and pad their department's bottom line? What the actual F? Enough people don't know about this. Unless you're one of the victims it happens to, then you're like WTF, the police just robbed me. The average person probably doesn't carry a lot of cash on them at once, so people probably just don't think about it. Choosing to carry a large amount of cash on your person being considered probable cause for illegal activity and allowing the cops to seize it without due process is one of the most broken things about our system. Everyone that knows what it is thinks it's bullshit, whether they love or hate the current state of policing in the US. Yet it sticks around. Title pawns. Payday loans, some charging 300% interest. Payday loans are illegal in some states. I know they are in West Virginia. I know a few of them are on Native American reservations because of state law. Televangelists like Joel Osteen. In that note, church is not paying taxes. It's completely unacceptable and really disgusting. I cannot imagine tithing to a church with a pastor who has big houses and a private jet and luxury cars. Megachurches are just a service that people willingly pay for, so they should be treated like a business and not have tax-exempt status, comma. The troubled teen industry. It doesn't work. It traumatizes children. It's legal kidnapping. I hope more attention comes to it and something happens. They're a business and the goal is to make money, not help troubled teenagers. FFS. Half the time the kids aren't even troubled. ETA. The troubled teen industry refers to for-profit organizations aimed at steering rebellious and at-risk youth onto a better path through reform camps. But their methods are tough love, negative positive punishments and physical labor. Because it's a business meant to make money, a lot of corner cutting happens. They hire young and untrained staff for less pay rather than therapists and certified nurses and teachers. It's also not regulated at all, so they can effectively do whatever they want with little recourse. They use scared straight tactics and beat kids into obedience. They claim the best way to send a kid there is by surprise, so they don't try and run beforehand, aka burst into their room at 2 AM and drag them into a van with very few belongings. Look up Elan School for a notorious one. Paris Hilton was kidnapped at 2 AM and sent to Provo Canyon when she was 16. Look at how well that worked. Go through this thread for some horror stories. Edit 2. Thank you to everyone who clarified the difference between reinforcement and punishment. I've been using the terms interchangeably. I went to one of those places in the 1990s, in Utah, where those schools are really popular because apparently they have very lax child protection laws. They had all these brochures showing kids horseback riding and swimming on an estate with sweeping green lawns like Professor Xavier's school, lol. No, the real facility was an old church that had been converted into dorms. Girls had a series of shared attic rooms. Boys had the ground floor. The school wasn't even a school. We had to basically teach ourselves from textbooks while sitting at desks set up in the basketball court at night. They'd have one teacher there, but they didn't teach, just gave us tests and monitored us. They had solitary confinement that they'd use if you got in trouble, which they called the ISU, Intensive Supervision Unit. I saw all sorts of messed up shit there. One of my most vivid memories is that they brought a new kid in who was a heroin addict. Instead of getting him medical treatment for withdrawal, they threw him in the ISU and basically just made him sweat it out all week with no help. The ISU was right outside the female dorm, so we could hear his yells and crying echoing around day and night. It was horrific. As an adult, I handle prison litigation and have seen multiple in custody deaths caused that way. Heroin withdrawal itself isn't lethal but can cause death from secondary symptoms like extreme dehydration or blood loss from esophageal tearing. The kid could have died. He sounded like he was dying sometimes. But that's the type of shit they get away with at these places. I've also heard of them refusing to give people their high school transcripts years later. There has been some litigation about that. I have so many stories. Edit for shits and giggles, I googled them. They are still operating, and their website shows a picture of this huge, elegant building which is absolutely not the real place as their address hasn't changed. Looks like they're still at it. The Utah legislature passed laws in 2021 to begin to rein in some of these horrible practices. Paris Hilton came out to testify in favor of the bills. Having to file your own taxes, then being fined if you don't do it right. Edit. As Mena pointed out, the IRS doesn't know all of it, but they know enough for the average person. Companies shouldn't be allowed to lobby to keep the process convoluted, and there shouldn't be such a large industry around tax prep. Seconded. The fact that there is a huge industry around helping you do your taxes is a red flag. If doing your taxes right is too taxing, and complicated, then the Fed should provide a free TurboTax equivalent. Edit. There is a free software that can be found on the IRS website. freetaxuser.com. Used them for years after TurboTax kept wanting me to pay for them. Private prisons. You're telling me that they charge the government for the beds and the taxpayers still gotta foot the bill if those beds are empty so the company running it doesn't lose money? Duck you. Here in Arizona in 2020, the governor announced the closing of the state prison in Florence. As a cost-saving measure, it was costing the state $71 per prisoner/per day to operate. They've announced in the last week they are moving the inmates to a private prison that's going to cost the state $85 per prisoner per day to operate. Also, they're guaranteeing the private prison that they'll maintain at least 90% capacity, which is just another way of giving judges an incentive to find people guilty. https://www. As Central. Com Story News Local Arizona, the 6th of January 2022. Arizona transfer to 706 prisoner state-run prison private facility $9,121,316,002. Guaranteed occupancy in a prison. WTF. Charging for parking in hospitals and clinics. Also charging people money to withdraw money or because they have small, positive balances in their bank accounts. Additionally, charging patients in hospitals for TV service. Their bills are high enough, but you want to add $8 a day to not have to sit in silence for 23 hours a day? They charge for every pill and tongue depressor they use on you. Hospitals nickel and dime patients to death. Edit. Of course this in the USA. I doubt any other country does this. That news in America's entertainment can get away with saying pretty much anything and still call it news. It frustrates me how normal weasel words are in newscast these days and how many people can't distinguish them easily. New studies show there may be a link between eating M&Ms and your hair color. Yeah, that also means it may not, but that doesn't get views. Sadly overplayed. But health insurance. Just yesterday there was a post about a guy who had medically necessary surgery and the insurance didn't want to pay the hospital. Pay us every month and we'll cover things like healthcare, car accidents, and other things that just happen in life to make sure you're protected. Thing in life happens, yeah, we ain't gonna pay shit on any of that, but keep paying us our absurd monthly rates or you might be screwed if something should happen. Oh, and your premiums are going up because you got in the accident we aren't going to pay for. Cable company making you rent a router for $10 a month. Shit should be illegal. Check if you can get your own. My local company allows me to use my own router and or modem. The only downside is if anything goes wrong they won't check it because it must be your equipment. If you're a personal business owner, you may receive what looks to be a bill in your mail from the US Domain Authority. At first glance, you're under the impression that you need to pay $289 to renew your website's domain name. However, there is very fine print stating that you are not legally required to pay the listed amount. It's actually an ad requesting you pay that amount in order to have your website listed on the US Domain Authority site. I can't imagine how many people have been tricked by this. Read your mail carefully. I got this letter just the other day. They look so legitimate but it went right into the trash. I recently moved and I keep getting a bunch of home warranty advertisements in the mail, except they don't look like ads. The envelopes say things like final notice and the letters are printed on pink paper. When you open them they say things like this is your final notice that your opportunity to purchase a home warranty from may be expiring. This shit is so ducked up. Timeshares. I figured Airbnb and VRBO and all the other temporal disruptors would have put a stop to this predatory own little pay mucho cash grab which destroys local housing markets and creates wet paint ghost towns. But alas, it persists and we have to stare at lines of cheap shacks or Soviet bloc style complexes left vacant on off seasons or occupied by flightless grey birds who only fly south because some Iowa idiot got conned in a Ramada in on a Tuesday looking for a free golf bag. Arguably these apps have created more of a problem, but I figured it'd be better. Also, getting out of timeshares. My parents bought one in the late 90s and actually did get a lot of use out of it. They went religiously for 1 week per year. Now that they have passed, my brother and I are struggling to get rid of it. Neither of us wants it and the timeshare company keeps acting like we have to accept it as inheritance. Although we know we don't have to. Also, predatory companies that pretend they'll get rid of the timeshare but really just drain some extra money to point you towards the things you have to do yourself anyway. The magic word is deed back. Basically you can sign the deed back over to the development and walk away. The trick is first finding the department that handles this and then convincing them that you really want to do this. When I tried to do this, the deed back department first really tried to convince me to find someone else to take it over. Maybe you can sell it on eBay, give it to a friend or relative. But I insisted that nobody I know would want it. More like, I'd refuse to inflict it on anyone I cared about, and they relented. Even then I had to stay on top of it because the paperwork kept getting lost and I had to call every so often to follow up. Eventually I did get rid of it though. Hot single ladies in your area. They are there, they just don't want you. And they hated blokers. 80+ hour work weeks for understaffed tourism towns around the world. Shout out from Vegas. Paying convenience charges when booking tickets online. Lobbying. In theory, having someone whose job it is to advocate for and explain technical, hyper-specific subjects to non-technical politicians who need to understand the laws they're enacting on often highly technical subjects is a good thing. The campaign finance incentives attached to that lobbying, however, is another thing entirely. Why insurance goes up after an incident. The fact that you give regular monthly installments is the intent that they will save you the hassle in case of a problem. Insurance should only go up after an accident you were at fault in. Good insurance will do that. My wife had an accident with our new car about 6 months after we bought it. Someone merged into her without looking. Had about $1.200 in damage. All of it cosmetic. Our insurance covered the whole thing. We paid $3 a day for our rental because I wanted an SUV and our max was like $37 a day, and premiums did not go up. Now 18 months later still the same. Pay for good insurance. It's not about the name. It's about the coverage you buy within the policy. Make sure you don't have bare bones insurance. We pay $110/month for 2 drivers with ours. Peace of mind is always worth it. Payday loans. And super high interest predatory rent to own furniture rental loan things, where you end up paying like $3,000 in the end for a $500 laptop. Extended warranties. So many promises made, but when time comes for a claim, almost all are denied. Didn't you read the fine print where it says you must have video proof that you dedicated the object to her on each alternating full moon that didn't land on a Tuesday? MLMs. No, Karen, you are not going to be a millionaire with your shitty products. The thing with pyramid schemes is if someone tells you about it, you're already too low down to make any real money. Civil asset forfeiture. Congress being able to pick stocks while regular people can't, either because of the industry they're in or because their 401k is just some mutual fund with high fees. The most powerful people in our country, legislators, can play with the stock market as they please. It doesn't matter how much inside information they have. Health insurance in America. I spend $600 a month to cover myself and my son and have never walked into a medical appointment without a $200 to $300 bill showing up in the mail. It seems since I can afford insurance then I get charged more for services after the insurance company negotiates prices down. I'm a single father making $15 per hour. Insurance is more than rent and my car payment combined. Extended warranties on vehicles. Good luck getting them to pay. USA tax paying system. Paraphrasing, we know how much you owe. but we want you to calculate it and you have to get it correct under pain of prison or paying too much. Oh, and the whole process is more complicated than it needs to be because of private interests. Congress has tried to make taxes automatic in the US, but TurboTax lobbied hard against it. Health insurance. My parents went to get some prescriptions the other day. With insurance $250. Without insurance $160. My kid's school charges a $3 internet fee if you want to refill their cafeteria cards via the website. If you do it in person there's no fee. If they feel they have to charge a fee, shouldn't it be the other way around, since if you use their website you aren't taking up anyone's time? University fees. I have to not only pay for my classes and admin fees, I have to pay for 2 separate student union fees, a technology fee, an online processing fee, and a recreation and athletic fee, despite the field house being entirely closed due to COVID. Insurance covering less because you have dual insurance. NFTs. Charging huge fees for parking permits without spending any of that money on the maintenance of those parking spots. Like 90% of all crypto companies out there, buy a through us and guarantee a return. They are all either pump and dump, or pyramid schemes. Crypto is just MLM for men. Payday lenders to why Soprano wouldn't have stooped so low. I'm too late for this to be seen probably, but I'll post it anyway. I once accidentally clicked something on the internet and unbeknownst to me signed up to some crappy subscription for £15 a month. The subscription was basically a monthly spam email about something uninteresting that went unnoticed. It was somewhere between 6 to 12 months before I noticed I was paying this company money, as I thought it was my Wi-Fi bill showing up on my direct debit record. I googled the company name. It was a company in Macclesfield or Mansfield if I remember correctly. Straight away the reviews were all saying it's a scam, hard to cancel the direct debit, etc. Phoned my bank, who informed me the company was known to them but had always stayed within the law and I'd be extremely lucky to get any money refunded. Bank also said that I needed the company to stop the subscription as they couldn't do it. I found the customer service number for this company. Straight away was told by the automated voice lady that it was £1 something a minute to be on the phone to them, which infuriated me as I was having to pay even more money to get them to stop scamming me. Anyway, I got put on hold after a minute or so of ringing. The icing on the cake was the on hold song with the Streets. Dry your eyes, mate. At that point I laughed to myself and applauded their sheer cheek. I got played well. Edit. Spelling. Politicians and their families investing in the stock market. I'm not sure if there's an actual name for it, but the practice of banks where they prioritize your automatic payments in order of highest to lowest so that you're more likely to overdraw earlier, and then they can slap on their overdrawn fees for each consecutive payment that attempts to go through. For example, you have $600 in your account and have 6 automatic payments coming out. They prioritize the $400 loan payment first, then the $120 car insurance, then $50 internet, $50 cell phone, $50 utilities, $50 renter's insurance. You now owe $90 in overdrawn fees, are late on 3 bills, and are mostly broke. If they'd have prioritized the last 5 first, then the loan payment, you'd have $280 left, a bill you're late on, and $30 in overdrawn fees. It's so ducking scummy. Praise the good goddamn way, purveyor of fine essential oils and blankets. Printer ink. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.